on this one. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for being here at another fantastic episode from our series Virtual Travel Parties that Latino World Travelers is hosting since 2019, 2020. I cannot even remember anymore. It's been such a long time. But thank you for being here and joining in this journey. Today, we have an amazing speaker, and I cannot wait to introduce her to you. You're going to be amazed. Thank you for everyone who's here as well, because we love it when you come and join live so you can ask all the questions that you want to ask. So I'm ready to get started. Remember that you can use the chat to ask questions in the moment, and I'm going to ask Monica right away the questions that you ask, and you can engage with the other people attending and share your experience if you feel like something is you can relate to it. We're also going to have a Q&A at the end if you feel like we didn't answer your questions throughout the presentation. And please mute yourselves. This way we give the floor to our presenter who's going to charm us with all of the gems and adventures from Malawi. The replay is going to be available in our YouTube channel. So if you want to rewatch it later, you're more than welcome to have it accessed there. And we also have over 60 episodes from different countries represented by Latinos that you can also watch there. And lastly, remember, we are here to spark your curiosity for travel so we can diversify the face of travel and have fun. So without further ado, we have Monica. She's going to introduce us to Malawi, the warm heart of Africa, con mucho, mucho amor. So thank you so much for being here. Monica, looking forward to what you're going to share, and I'll leave the floor to you.
Great, thank you. Hi, everyone. Let me just try to share my screen. I put together a presentation. It's mostly just slides. So, I mean, it's mostly just photos. So, sorry.
When did you decide to move to Malawi?
So it's interesting. I was supposed to be here for just 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just asked by my job to come for 4 months and just to fill while we had a vacancy.
Mm-hmm.
But they ended up asking me to stay longer and longer, and it ended up being 3.5 years. So now I've been in Malawi. Yeah. So now I've been in Malawi for basically, for a full 3.5 years. So I got here October 2018.
Wow, that's amazing. Did you ever visit Malawi before you went because of your job, or that was like the first time that you ever went?
No, this is the first time I went to Malawi was when I moved with my suitcases for the 4 months. And then, otherwise it was the first time I had been to this part of Africa and to Malawi.
Wow, that's so cool though. Like you moved to another completely different continent and country that you never had an experience with. How was the first part of your journey there? Like, did you feel it was a big cultural shock, or did you feel, that it was familiar? And
a little bit of both. So before I moved here, I'd been working in and out of Africa. I've never lived in Africa, but I'd been to different countries in sub-Saharan Africa, Liberia, Ethiopia, Guinea, different countries around Africa. So I at least knew generally about the culture in sub-Saharan Africa. And even though all the countries are very different, it's just like Latin America, there's similarities, but there's a lot of differences. So it wasn't too much of a shock, but then living here, you have to adjust differently. There's certain things that aren't available at the stores. We drive on the other side of the road than in the US. So that's a big adjustment.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then little things like British English, which there's small things that we say differently in the US than they say with British English. So that was also adjusting
Sounds
my
great.
language.
So get started. Don't let me stop you.
Okay.
I love
Okay,
asking
good.
questions, so I'll be
No,
interrupting you
please,
all the way.
please do. So one of the things that I just wanted to say in the beginning, it's Malawi is 7 hours ahead of the East Coast. So it's like 11 o'clock at night for me. So I'm happy to have questions and things to keep us going, to keep me awake. So I was gonna, depending on how many people are here, I was gonna try to use the polls function, but I think it's just not so many of us, we could put it in the chat or something. But I'm just wondering how, if people have heard about Malawi before they saw this presentation advertised, or if they knew where Malawi was even on a map.
Yes, definitely let us know in the chat. For me personally, I always looked at the African continent, but I never even thought of going to Malawi. I would think like Zambia, Zimbabwe, like those nearby countries, but never like Malawi never was in the top of my mind until now.
Yes.
Because I definitely want to come to visit you.
Yes, no, I agree. So just a little bit about me. I'm out here. This is the expanded team of people that I work with. I work on malaria. I also work on COVID-19 and disaster assistance. We just had a big disaster here. Cyclone hit Malawi, so we have a lot of flooding and issues that we're trying to deal with. So this is just me and my expanded team of people working on malaria. So just to flag who we are and what we're doing. So Malawi, this is all photos, by the way. It's not really a lot of text at all. Malawi, if you see the picture on the right, that's what a typical part of Malawi looks like. As soon as you're an hour out of the city, it's like this. The homes are very small and made out of handmade bricks. It's very poor. The population is about 19 million, which I looked up is similar to New York. I think New York's a little over 20 million, and it's in southeastern Africa. And there are 16 languages, and they got their independence in 1964. So the language actually is pretty similar to, if you know Spanish, you should easily be able to pronounce some of the words. The language is called Chichewa. The most dominant language is called Chichewa. So what I was thinking,
Chichera, you say?
Chichewa.
Chichewa.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put, if you don't mind being a test subject for me, I'm gonna put a word in the chat, and anyone, but maybe you, Vanessa, but anyone could try to pronounce it. If you read it as if you're reading Spanish, you should be able to get it. It means
Sí, como?
Sí, como, yeah. It's easy.
And what does that mean, sí, como?
It means thank you. So everybody's saying it all the time. Sí, como, sí, como. Yes. So the language, it's not very similar. They also do a sort of kind of how we do a Spanish, where Spanglish, where some words they just make it sound like English, but add a little something. So a lot of people, for the word kitchen, instead of saying kitchen, they might say kitcheni. So they're blending English and a bit of their language. Let's see. I think another thing is that they're very similar to us in terms of religion and very similar to us in terms to Latinos, that religion is very important. They're very family oriented. Most people are Christian, Catholic, or Muslim. We start a lot of our professional meetings with the government with a prayer, which is something brand new to me, and ending them in a prayer. So it is a very religious focused country. In terms of food, Malawi is very poor. I put a picture here of fish, and the white bread looking dough, it's like a masa, is called nsima. I could spell it in the chat. It's called encina. And that is basically their version of like a bread or a tortilla. And actually, I have a Colombian friend here, and I learned the other day that you could use this flour to make arepas. So she uses this same flour to make arepas, which is kind of cool. It doesn't work well to make corn tortillas, but it works well for arepas. So
That looks tasty.
yeah, it's pretty good. It goes good with everything, like when you're eating beans, just basically like a tortilla. So getting to Malawi, I don't know, maybe we could put in the chat or people could just share out loud what your longest nonstop flight was, because it's not very easy to get here. Getting to Malawi door to door from Virginia, from Dulles, Virginia, is okay. I see Erica, Frankfurt to Chicago. Do you remember how many hours it was, Erica? I know you're at work.
For me, it was from New York to China. I think it was 14 or something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I was going to Thailand, that's why. So I had to stop over there.
Yeah. Okay. So it's basically similar. So from Dulles, Virginia to Ethiopia, it takes 14 hours. But the whole trip door to door, I used to live in Washington, D.C. So if I left my house in Washington, D.C., to get to my house here in Malawi, would take about 24 hours door to door, waiting at the airports, the different flights. So it's not the easiest place to get to. So as you're saying, it's really good to mix it with other trips to Africa. Either Kenya is pretty easy to go to, or Tanzania, or South Africa, or even Zambia. And I highly recommend if people come, they should come for like 2 weeks because of the time difference. Weather in Malawi, this is a photo from rainy season. Right now we're in rainy season. That's December till like March. It's an okay time to come, but if you're taking a risk, everything is cheaper if you go on safari and things, it's cheaper in the rainy season, but you're taking a risk that you'll be dealing with rain. So you might not be able to go out and do the things that you want to do. And then you'll see the other photos of what the weather is normally like, which is beautiful. It's like a beautiful winter is like fall in the US, so maybe in the 70s, and then in the summer it gets up to like 100. It can be pretty hot. So for things to do in Malawi, the next several slides are basically me going on safari. So one of the things that that's like a gem for Malawi, or a reason to come to Malawi instead of South Africa or Kenya or Tanzania, is that the safari is much cheaper. You can spend thousands of dollars per day in South Africa or Tanzania or Kenya on a safari trip.
Mm-hmm. I can attest to that because I was doing the research to go to Kenya, and I'm like, oh, an arm and a leg.
Yes, yeah. So this place is called Nika Plateau. It's like an 8-hour drive. Malawi, to get around Malawi is you mostly have to drive. We have one long highway that goes to the north and south that just basically runs the whole country. So you really have to drive everywhere. There are small planes, but they're pretty expensive. So this is one of the options for safari, Nika Plateau. It takes about 8 hours, 4 hours on a paved road, 4 hours on a dirt road. Very beautiful. You'll see I love sunsets. So there's a lot of sunset photos. What's cool, like this photo on the right is part of the dirt road that you're driving in to get into the plateau. And then we had sundowners, which are like drinks, tea and coffee or an alcoholic drink at sunset, which is pretty standard for most of the safaris that you go on.
But with that sunset, I will do it in a heartbeat.
Yes, yeah.
So beautiful.
It's so beautiful. It's really amazing.
I have a question about the dirt roads. I know you say it's the longer time if you take the dirt roads, but do they have like stops that you can do? Like, why would someone choose to do the dirt road versus the straight highway?
There is no option. So there's no other option. You have to take the dirt road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But okay, so that 8-hour trip, what we did on the way there is we took the road that goes along the lake. And so that was 4 or 5 hours. We stopped at the lake and we stayed the night there, enjoyed the lake and dinner, got up early, and then did the next 4 hours up to the plateau. So you could break it up, or stop in one of the cities nearby and stay overnight. So it doesn't have to be
Yes.
one long.
Do you recommend the people who go there get a driver to drive them around, or is it safe for like you to just rent a car and go? And or like how is the GPS? Does it work?
GPS, yes and no. So I love Google Maps, but a lot of people don't. So for me, I like to have Google Maps, but usually the place that you're going to, with the safari lodge or the tour company that you're working with, they'll have written directions for you. So we always, whenever we go, me by myself or like with friends, we have our Google Maps GPS going, and then we have the written directions from the hotel or lodge, because there's small things like a sign that you might not see, or Google might show you there's a road, but it's not really a road. So there's some funky things. So, but it's really, a lot of the places they have directions to give you. You can rent a car. You just need to have a higher clearance, a big SUV basically, to go out. And then yes, some of these tour companies, they could provide transport for you. A lot of them have small hotels in the city here where the airport is, and then the like sister hotel in the safari game park or something, wherever you're going, and they can help you with transport. Yeah.
Nice.
That's super. So one cool thing about Nika Plateau, a lot of animals are getting close to you. These varieties of like antelopes, gazelles, I think this is called a daika. But the zebras, I think, were the coolest thing about Nika Plateau, because they're everywhere. And you're driving and they're jumping through the road. And so for me, I think that is a beautiful place, Nika Plateau.
Those sunsets, yo, they're so beautiful.
They
and you
are
feel like
beautiful.
you're in another planet.
You do, yeah. It's such a different, yeah, they're the best sunsets. This is from a different park in the south, which is like a 4.5-hour drive south. And this is all on the paved road. So much easier to get to. And it's called Liwonde. And here we're doing a boat safari. So we were on a boat when I took this photo, and you could see the elephants just on the lake, against the river, getting water. And this is when we were driving through. So the picture on the left, we're seeing elephants while we're driving, and on the right you can do a walking safari at Liwonde, which is kind of cool. You see more baboons, and they try to show you the different plants and insects or things as you're walking through on a walking safari.
And you are so up close. It's amazing.
Okay, we were not that close to these elephants. This is a misleading picture, really, because they don't want to put you too close to like elephants, lions, or other things. But in this other, I think I have another photo. This photo all the way on the left, where the driver has his hand up, this little elephant was a teenager, and he was just being a bad teenage boy, and came very close to us. He was running at us. It was like playing, but he listened to the driver. He stopped, didn't get too close, but it was kind of scary at first to have an elephant running at you.
That is the cutest, though.
It was cute. The middle picture is a big termite hill, and then the final picture is an elephant swimming in the water, which I had never seen before. So it's always worth it, I think, to do the boat safari, a walking safari, and then your normal game drives. So there is a couple other places to go safari that I haven't gone yet, because if you've gone on a safari, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's amazing. I've gone in Zambia and in Uganda and a little bit in Kenya too. But once you have done it, you've done it, and it gets a little, this sounds crazy to say, but it gets a little old after a while to do safari. So
I
hiking,
want to go to Rwanda, Uganda, or Congo to do a gorilla trekking. I'm
I
dying
did that.
to go. Oh my God.
I did that last year. That's for another video, but I did
Yeah.
that last year in Uganda
Mhm.
because it was cheap because of COVID. It was like 50% cheaper. But
Oh,
yes, we
wow.
could talk
We
about
can
that.
talk about that for sure.
It was amazing. Yes. So the other thing to do in Malawi is hiking. So these are photos when we were in this place called Zomba Plateau. It's about 5 hours south. Again, you see us all trying to take photos on the left of the sunset.
So when you say
Um,
5 hours south, that means 4 hours from the safari, like 1 hour from the safari that is in the south?
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's pretty. So you could also, a lot of people, when they're just visiting, you could do something like that. You can go all the way south, maybe 8 hours to, I'm going to show some pictures of a tea plantation. So you could go all the way to the south and then like work your way back up or break it up and do different things along the way, hiking, a safari, a tea plantation, more hiking, another safari, drive along the lake. So it's definitely easy to do a bunch of things uh, in one long week. My previous boss, before he moved back to the US, he did something like that with his wife before they moved back. They did a long road trip and went everywhere. A lot of running around, dogs running around Malawi. So I'm going to talk about health later because since I work in health, I think it's important to talk about health. But they do recommend you have a rabies vaccine before you come here. Although I've never had any issues with street dogs or anything. But you'll see a lot of dogs.
Do they also recommend the yellow vaccine? Yellow
So
fever?
they don't have yellow fever here, but I had yellow fever vaccine because they take it in a lot of countries, and I was traveling to other countries that required it. So um, if you have a travel clinic nearby, then the travel clinic will tell you what you need to get before you travel. But I basically have everything invented almost at this point. Um, so the next couple of photos are from, there's a small part in northern Malawi. This is like just 3 hours north of the city. And I'm just saying 3 hours. The time I'm saying is from where I live, which is the main capital city, Lilongwe. So there's a small strip of rainforest still surviving in Malawi, about 3 hours north from the city. And these are some photos from the rainforest. One of our friends had a drone, so they were able to get a cool shot of us having champagne on a rock.
Oh, that's so
And
cool.
yeah, it was
Anything that
like,
has to do with champagne, sign me up.
yes, yeah. One of my friends owns a wine shop, so she teaches yoga and she owns a wine shop, so she has like the best
Do they
job
produce
ever.
wine in Malawi?
No, no, not like South Africa, but because we're so close to South Africa and we're very dependent on South Africa, there's the majority of the food and basically everything we get comes from South Africa. So we get easily get South African wine, which is nice. Malawi produces gin and vodka and tea and coffee and tobacco. They're trying to get into hemp, exporting hemp, and I guess making marijuana legal or something, but that's like other parts of the world and the parts of the US, it's like slightly controversial. So, but no wine, unfortunately. This is just another place to go hiking called Zalanyama. It's also very close. It's like an hour. It's on your way to Zambia. So if you were going to drive to Zambia, it's only 5 hours to get to Zambia to go to a really nice safari in Zambia. So I would say that's another reason to come to Malawi. You can go to safari in Malawi and then you could drive 5 hours, get into Zambia and go see leopards and some of the other things that they don't have here at the safari in Malawi, which is basically leopards that we don't have. So this is on the way to Zambia, is this place called Zalanyama. One thing I didn't mention is power is very scarce. Most people do not have electricity. If you look at the view of this photo on the right, I mean, people live down there and there's really no electricity in the majority of the country. So sometimes when you go to a hotel or a lodge, it might be running on solar and they shut off the power at 9 p.m. So you're without electricity. So it's always good to travel with like a solar powered battery pack, a solar powered lamp. I have a little collapsible one. It's always good to have a nice power banks with
This
you.
is a great tip. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I think
Because
it's
I
really
have a
important.
lot of like chargers, but none of them are solar. So
Yeah.
this is my calling to make sure I get one, I guess.
Yeah, at least get one solar one. My friend has a really good one that lasts like 2-3 days that's not solar. So for her, when you go on long weekend, she has a really nice one. Otherwise, yeah, the solar power banks are pretty good because just in case you
What
need
about
them.
Wi-Fi? Is it easily accessible in different parts of the country?
Yes and no. So this place I stayed at that was back here, it's called Zomba. I don't have a picture of the lodge. I should have put that, but they had absolutely no electricity, and they had some solar that they would use for things in the kitchen, but just for a couple hours a day while they're cooking. No Wi-Fi, and our cell phones barely work. But I have my American phone has a T-Mobile. I have a T-Mobile contract, the international T-Mobile plan, and it works pretty much everywhere in Malawi.
Oh, that's
Um,
great.
yeah, so
Because I was
just check.
thinking like, oh, if there is no power, do the towers still work? You know, like I was thinking about
Yes,
that.
yeah, it's pretty rare. I think because most people just don't have electricity, they don't have internet. So it's there, it's available, and mostly it's working, but it can still be difficult.
So maybe it's the perfect vacation and opportunity to disconnect
Yes,
and just
yeah, this
immerse
is
yourself in the culture and just, clear your mind from life back home.
yes, this Malawi is the place to do that. It's so chilled, it's so rural. It is definitely the place to come if you want to disconnect for sure. This is another place called Nkoma Mountain. The little red circle I have is my friends that were going to go all the way up to the peak, and I didn't want to go that far. So it's another good hike with beautiful views, and it's just a couple hours out of the city. So as you're driving down for safari or something else, you could stop there, do a little hike. A lot of these hikes, these are some of my friends. So a lot of the places to hike, people believe, like I said, it's such a religious country. People believe that, the higher you are up, the closer you are to God, the more likely your prayers will be heard. So some places when you hike up, they have little huts and things for you to pray. So this is one that's like an hour outside of the city, and these are the views where you can
Like an
go up.
altar almost.
Yeah, almost like an altar. Like this was like the cross. So there was different crosses built, and then there's like a little building behind us there. That's like a small little brick uh, shelter. So people, in case it's raining or cold, they can go climb up there, and then they might spend the night to do their prayers for however long. So you'll see in this picture on the right, there's a little boy. And then also in this picture, all the way up at the left, I think it's the same little boy. A lot of times when you go hiking, the children in the village will offer to be your guides because they're good at it. They know where they're going. They're very agile. They're used to going up and down these hills or mountains. And so you just give them some money, and I usually take extra snacks, like share some trail mix or cookies or something with them at the top. And then it's just a way for the kids to make some money since everybody is pretty poor. So I let them come hang out with us for the day and give them a bit of money. And they know where they're going, and they know they're very cautious with you too. They don't want you to get hurt. So it's kind of sweet.
That's the beauty of traveling to other countries, that they like treat you so well and they want to be so accommodating to you and your needs. I love that about traveling to other countries.
Yes, I agree. And I think there's something also about being Latino that like I don't know, you're there's just something I feel like people identify, or my name, or Monica is a popular name across the world, and every country I've gone to, when I say my name is Monica, they're like, oh, Monica. So the first lady in Malawi, her name is Monica Chakwera. So when I meet people and I'm like, oh, my name is Monica, they're like, oh yes, that's very familiar.
That's so cool.
So I think definitely being Latino has some advantages, because I don't know, to me, it just feels like people feel you different, or there's some familiarity.
They feel that warmth.
Yes, yes, I feel that way. Yes, exactly. So I had mentioned that there's tea and coffee estates. So this is a view of one of the tea plantations, and all of that green, it looks like grass, but it's actually tea plants, where they have tea that's grown and sold here. I don't know if they sell it outside of Malawi, but it's very beautiful. Yeah, the pictures on the left and all the way on the right are the tea, me walking through the tea plantations. And so they have these like really old homes that you can go and stay in, that were owned by the families that man the tea estates. There's still companies now, tea companies, that are still viable and open. That's another beautiful option as they're driving through the country for a place to stay overnight and eat. And it's very calm and quiet, and beautiful, and more relaxed walking than hiking.
What kind of tea is it?
So
Would you consider like green tea, black tea? Like what flavor?
yes, what I learned is that basically these tea leaves make all different kinds of tea: green tea, black tea, different flavors of tea. It's basically the way that you roll it and fold it and dry it, and what you combine it with other flavors of citrus or something, and that creates all the different flavors of tea. So it's just one type of tea, and then the way that they're drying it and what they're mixing it with is how we get the different tea flavors, which is cool. So they have, I don't know, green, mint, peach, black.
When I go, I'm definitely going there. Just seeing that setup right there, you see? We like,
Yes.
is that cakes and cookies?
Yes, it's cake and cookies.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's gonna be me with my cup of tea.
Yes, it's afternoon tea, which, yeah, it's a whole British thing to get used to. So tea in the afternoon. And then the lake, Malawi's lake. I put some notes for myself so I wouldn't forget, but it's the third largest lake in Africa and the second deepest lake in Africa. And it has more species of fish than any lake in the world, apparently. And a lot of them are these little cichlid fish that are a bluish color. And the lake is very important because a lot of people get their livelihoods. They are fishers. They eat from the lake. Actually, a lot of people, they use the lake for their lives. So they're bathing and doing their laundry. It's a lot of multi-use lake, but which is not super healthy for the lake, but it is very important. So it's really important that there's good conservation efforts so we keep the lake healthy.
Is there diving there, like deep water diving?
Yes, there are at least, I think, I know of at least one company in the north. I think there's also one in the south that you can do a scuba diving certification with them. So a lot of people do that. There's definitely snorkeling. The lake is pretty shallow as you're coming from the shore. It takes a while until you get into a deeper part, but there are parts that are deeper. And so you can go scuba diving, definitely. So I think there's other things to do. This is just another sunset on the lake, but other things to do with like swimming and boats and kayaking, jet skis. The lake is just, everybody goes. You can get there from the city in like 2 hours, or if you want to go further south, you can take 5 hours to get to the lake. But it's very accessible, and it's basically the thing to do on the weekends. And the fish is good. It's like a tilapia, a white fish that they have called chambo. Um, and it's, yeah, I think it's very good fish.
Yum, yum.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna go there because it's like very
Yeah.
adventurous things like kayaking, you can swim, you can fish, like so many stuff. I love that.
Yes. Yeah. It's pretty great. So, okay, I said I was going to talk a little bit about health. So my job is malaria, and malaria, the entire country is susceptible to malaria. So I don't know if any of you have taken malaria medicine before. If you have not, I definitely suggest going to your travel clinic and getting the malaria prophylaxis, your malaria medicine before you come here. So you're taking that to prevent you from getting malaria, because out here, we're used to preventing babies and treating babies from getting malaria. They're the number one um, population that's most likely to have malaria. So the doctors here, they know how to treat babies, but to treat a woman or a man from the US in their 30s or 40s, it's not so easy because it's not normal. Most adult Africans that have had malaria have built up an immunity to it. So very important. And that folks are taking their malaria medicine and sleeping under bed nets. They're showing that green net is what people are sleeping under in the villages. So it's really important that folks are sleeping under bed nets. COVID, like the rest of the world, we have COVID. We have to speak about COVID. COVID was not too intense in Malawi. They just, an article came out in NPR last week or so, or earlier this week, saying that 80% of Malawians have had COVID, but because the population is so young, the majority of the population is under 18, they really didn't end up in the hospital. We haven't had a lot of deaths. We don't have a lot of vaccinated people, but we don't really have high numbers. So the transmission is very low. You still need a test to come in and out. But otherwise, it's been a very beautiful place to be working from home or stuck in isolation during COVID. So it's still a really nice place to travel. Okay, being Latino, I know that's part of it, being Latino in Malawi. What is that like? This is a Dia de los Muertos altar that we set up at I'm going to say Mexican restaurant that we have in town, and the owner wanted to do something. So I said, okay, I'll help you. I'll put that altar together. So we just made up with whatever we had to try. I had all those candles, so they're my own candles and things to put on the altar. So really Malawi is definitely a make your own fun kind of place. I made these piñatas for my friend's birthday parties. We made this like stormtrooper one, and I made this taco shaped piñata. So you're really having to make your own and bring your culture to your friends and your the friends that you make out here.
Yeah. Is the owner of the Mexican place Mexican or not really?
No, she's Malawian, and I don't know. She was chatting with friends and came up with the idea to have a Mexican restaurant. And she went to Oaxaca, Mexico for about 2 weeks to learn how to cook. But the food in Oaxaca is very different from other parts of Mexico. So that was a transition to bring that here, but it's not what a lot of people are used to eating. So she's adapted, and I think it's still really good food. It's just, you're have high expectations of the food that you grew up eating. So it's still good, but it's still not like.
And then also they may not have even the ingredients there that they have in Mexico. So there is no way to replicate it at all.
Right. Yes. There's a lot of like the chiles are not here. You don't have the masa or maseca to make the right kind of corn tortillas, certain types of meats. Again, because of electricity, the refrigeration is a problem. So cheese, a lot of funky things that we have to learn to adapt. But we started to make your own fun. So you really have to, you become friends with everybody because it's so small and everybody's on WhatsApp. So if you want to have a color run, we did a color run a couple of years ago, you talk to somebody, you start planning and get things organized, and you make a color run. And the photo on the right is from the refugee camp. Every year, the refugee camp has a big art and culture festival, and they open up, and this guy is making chapatis, which is like a tortilla flatbread. They open up the refugee camp, and you go, and there's different like musicians and artists, spoken word poetry. It's pretty cool. So everybody is just like making their own thing. There's randomly the aerial yoga. I think you put a picture of me on Instagram. This is an
Yeah, you were
aerial.
upside down.
Yes, yeah. So we have some hidden gems like aerial yoga and really good croissants at some of the bakeries. So it's it's just making your own thing. There's
Stop
a lot
making me
always.
hungry,
I
okay?
know. I know. There's always plenty of things to do in terms of like working out, and the personal trainers and gyms. And the picture on the left is my friend and I participated in like a 5K to raise money for planting trees in the south. And there is a taco truck that also they're trying to have tacos that are again pretty good. So I think it's just the biggest thing is meeting people, talking to them, and not being afraid to exchange phone numbers. I have the owner of the gas station down the street from my house. I have his phone number because sometimes we run short on fuel. And so I'll message him before I go get gas just to say, do you have gas at the station today? And it's just a very relationship focused place, and it's
I
how
love
everything's
that.
run.
That's why you don't
Yeah.
want to come back. You were like, you went
Yeah.
for 4 months and you stay there. Wow.
Yeah.
Must be
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean, to have that in your life, you know?
Yeah. It is nice to have connections around to like meet people. I think that's my last photo. Yeah. So happy to take questions or yeah,
Yeah.
that's basically.
Yeah, definitely ask any questions that you. Oh, Erica said the pictures are amazing. Thank you. I wanted to ask you, do they have any nightlife, or is it usually like people gather together in someone's house and or in an event specifically?
A little bit of both. So there are some bars and clubs with COVID. I don't think people are still going out, but not everybody is maybe comfortable with going to different things. So you kind of have to make your own. So there is a salsa night every Tuesday, and the people that lead that, they're not Latino, but it's fine. They're all good salsa dance. They're very great salseros.
Yes.
I think I was telling you the other day, we're trying to organize a bachata brunch. So those are big, those are really popular in Washington, DC. So we're getting together, me and a couple of friends, my Colombian friends, and the owner of that Mexican restaurant to see what can we do. There's a DJ I like. So we're just gonna piece it together and make our own, your own party. But yeah, otherwise there's a lot of going to other people's houses and house parties, I guess. Yeah.
And the population of Latinos there, is it big? Is it small? Like, can you count them with one hand?
I think you can count them with two hands,
Okay.
maybe, or a little bit more. There's also like people that are Portuguese speaking from Mozambique or Portugal or Angola, like nearby, and then Spaniards. So it's a bit of a blend. But again, you have to find each other. So I made this Colombian friend. We were at a mutual friend's birthday party, and some Latin music came on. We both went to dance, and then we kind of looked at each other like, "Wait, are you?" Okay. So yeah, you just have to find each other, and
yes, that's it. When you find each other, you exchange numbers.
Yes.
Like you say,
yes, get everybody's phone
contact
number.
each other from WhatsApp.
Yes, yeah, I have everybody's phone. I know one of somebody that just moved here. I'm like, you have to get their phone number, and it was new for her to be using WhatsApp, and a lot of things aren't on Google Maps, so you're also using WhatsApp and Facebook, and just having to use different things to get around and learn about stuff.
That's cool. Do they have? You live in the capital, right? What's the capital of Malawi?
Yeah, Lilongwe.
Lilongwe. Okay.
Mhm.
And do they have like Ubers and stuff like that or not really?
No, we don't have Uber. We don't have a movie theater. We don't have a big shopping mall. We have like little strip malls, no bowling alleys. A lot of restaurants, you could still get good food. There's some Italians here. There's a lot of Indians here, so you can get good Indian
Mm.
food. Um, but no, there's no Uber. Basically, you can hire a driver. There's some people that own their own cars, and then again on WhatsApp, they will drive you around. But otherwise, uh, no, most people have their own cars.
That's good. That's good. Wow, and now I'm like making plans in my head, like when am I gonna come to visit you? I want to
Yeah,
experience this disconnect and just go for 2 weeks and have a beautiful time there, you know?
yeah. I think what's really great about living in Malawi, because we don't have a lot of those things, when you go somewhere else, it's like magical, like, oh, sushi, donuts, Uber, like shopping. I don't know. You go somewhere and it's there. It's like every other place outside of Malawi. So Disney World or something. It's just so amazing because we don't have a lot of stuff here. So it makes you really grateful for the things that you do have.
In the 4 years that you have been there, have you been back to the US or to other countries? I know you said you went to Uganda and Kenya, right?
Yes. So that's what I really liked also about living here is the ability to go to other countries. So I was in Cape Town, South Africa last year, and also Uganda earlier in 2021, and then 2020. Nobody really did anything in 2020, but I have been to the U.S. back to the U.S. 2 or 3 times, I think, since I moved here, and then also Spain and not it's not nearby, but Spain, Tanzania, so Zanzibar, Kenya, Zambia, yeah, Uganda, and South Africa. So I'm trying to go to Mozambique in the next couple of months because I'm supposed to be moving probably by June or sometime this year. I'm going to be moving out of Malawi. I don't know where to, but I'm trying. I want to
But
go
you're
there.
gonna still work with the organization, but just in another country.
I think so, yeah, or not. I'm not exactly sure.
I'm
It's
not gonna
kind of
publish this so you don't, just
no,
so they don't know.
no, that's
Sounds
okay.
great. Oh my God, this is so cool. Hopefully I can catch you there before you leave, you know?
Yes, yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm just waiting for this pandemic to like calm down a bit. So I know you mentioned earlier about the rainy season. So during the regular summer, like July, August, what season is it there?
July, August is winter, the dry season. So it feels like fall, like 70, 60, 70s. It can get chilly in the evening, maybe 40s or 50s. So you would want a
Mm,
jacket. That's the best time to go on safari because, during the rainy season, there's a lot of really high grass. So the animals can hide and you might not be able to see them. But by the time you get to July and August, it's very dry. August in Malawi is one of the driest months. It's very dusty.
mhm.
But then if you're going out on safari, because all the grass has died down, it's easier for you to see the animals. And then price wise, that's when things are slightly more expensive because more people are coming between August and October, November is where most people are going on safari. But it's still pretty cheap and stuff like
Because
worth it.
as a
So
teacher, I'm already calculating.
yeah.
I am going in October, si Dios quiere, to Madagascar
Oh, cool. Yeah.
because one of our friends presented a virtual travel party about Madagascar, and he inspired me to go there. So I'm like, I need to go there. So now I'm
Yes.
gonna try to see
Yeah.
if I can do both.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna
That
have
would
to
be
quit
awesome.
teaching so I can go in
No.
October.
Yeah. No, that would be a good time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But July, August, June, July, August, I think is my favorite, and September is my favorite weather here because you just need like a light sweater or a t-shirt or something. It's very beautiful and clear and yeah, it's a beautiful place.
Fantastic. Oh my God. Well, thank you. Well, sí como. That's what I'm going to say.
Yes.
Sí como.
Como.
Which is thank you in Chichewa. That's how you say it, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing those gems with us. I really thank you because you gave us so much valuable information about traveling to Malawi. And I thank you for your time. I know it's really late there. So even that, like, super thankful for that. Anyone, please join us in the upcoming virtual travel parties. We have one every month, the first Thursday of every month. And the next one are going to be about Czech Republic, Nicaragua, and the Ukraine. So we always try to pick different countries. My goal is to represent all 193 UN countries with a different Latino to show people that we have been to cada rinconcito del mundo. And, you know, to leave a mark, you know, also to make sure that we feel represented no matter what country we go to, because you can hear it from the perspective of a Latino. You don't have to hear it from a perspective of a person who doesn't look like you, you know? So conéctate con nosotros. Make sure you're following us on Instagram. And we also have a Facebook group that we ask questions. If you're traveling to any destination or need help or need tips, anything that you need, we answer it in the Facebook group. And our Instagram is more to feature and spotlight Latinos who are already traveling and, you know, engage with the community, but in a different way than the group. So more than welcome to join us there. You can also support us by purchasing our merchandise. We're gonna add more things to the store, but this is one way that we can stay bringing you these events, you know, that are free for you, but, you know, you can always contribute to the mission that we are doing. Y un millón de gracias to all of the attendees. Thank you for coming here. I hope you found this event informative and that we're able to ignite your curiosity and maybe even go to Malawi and visit Monica, you know? So thank you so much. I really thank you for everything. Like, you were so amazing.
Thank you. No, thank you for the opportunity and thank you so much.
Yes.